We're here on the first episode of the Zero Empty Spaces podcast, where we're going to connect you with our resident Zero Empty Spaces artists like him. If you didn't know about Zero Empty Spaces, myself, Evan Snow, and my partner, Mr. Andrew Martineau of the Unitas Group, who are behind some things you might have heard of, like Choose 954, Art Fort Lauderdale, the Art Fair on the Water, Fort Lauderdale Art and Design Week, and a few other initiatives that we've launched to advance the arts in Broward County and throughout South Florida, came up with an initiative to activate vacant commercial real estate to make affordable artist studio spaces at $2 a square foot on a month-to-month basis, including the water and the electric. This was after many artists like Scott came to us and would say, hey, where are studio spaces at, let alone affordable studio spaces? And at the same time, we have a lot of conversations with folks in the real estate field from the work we do with Art Fort Lauderdale and other activations and events we produce, where a lot of property owners, property managers, developers would ask us to do cool art stuff in their space. So we came up with this initiative, and it's been very well received.
Amazing.
We're up to about 10 locations now. We have over 22 working artists currently working in spaces now, and we're about to grow and expand. But the project is nothing without the artists. So we want to help tell the artist stories, have you guys get a better understanding about their work, their inspiration, their craft, their creative outlet, their profession, and then hopefully you can support the artists. And I always say support comes in many different ways. If it's a like or follow on social media, to telling a friend, if you have the ability to purchase a piece of artwork, a print, a t-shirt, a postcard, or anything, that is a way you can support the arts.
Absolutely.
So without much further ado, who do we have the pleasure of sitting here with in his Boca Center studio here?
Evan, first of all, thank you for having me on your little podcast here. My name is Scott Jeffries. I'm an artist at Zero Empty Spaces at the Boca Center. I've been a professional artist for the past probably 9 or 10 years, so to speak, after a career as an attorney in Philadelphia. And I met Evan and Andrew as a artist from Art Fort Lauderdale, which has been going on for the past four years.
You've been in every year since the beginning for 4 years.
And it's been an amazing thing to be able to grow with Art Fort Lauderdale and now to grow with this Zero Empty Spaces, which has been an amazing thing for me. I've been over the past many years, working out of my house, the painting in my house. And then when you guys had this initiative started in Broward County, I was interested in it then, but living in Palm Beach County, it'd be more difficult for me to get back and forth to a space like that. So when you and Andrew opened up the Boca space, I jumped right on it, this is actually really about 10 minutes from my house. I have a studio here, it's about 80 square feet, which is perfect for me. I'm able to come here and do work, have my collectors, my people that are in my life come and see the work, and it's opening up a whole new avenue for me to get my work out there to the world.
Amen.
And we've only been here for about a week and a half, and I've already been successful in having people come in, purchase some work, see what, and get some ideas, talk about commissions. It's really a new way to do that. And we're in the COVID pandemic world, so it's really, and this is obviously a space where masks are required, that sort of thing, and it's an intimate setting where there's not a lot of people in the space at one time, so there's no kind of fear of that going on, and we follow all the guidelines. And now this is as of like yesterday, all Palm Beach County masks are required in public places, and so we're dealing with that. But we're open to the public still right now, and we're gonna take it. We're gonna do what we need to do to keep doing that and bring some art to the world. And this is a great opportunity for me to do.
And it's very interesting timing during the COVID timing. You see, we're both wearing our masks. We thought that there might be a slowdown in interest from property owners and from the artists to want to participate in the program with obviously the current situation with phase 1 reopening and all that. But on the contrary, we've been getting more outreach from property owners and developers and property managers, because unfortunately there is more vacant space becoming available, especially commercial real estate. And on the flip side of that coin, we were concerned, that artists might not want to participate at the same rate that they were before. But on the contrary of that coin, because there aren't art walks going on, and because there aren't art fairs going on right now, and there aren't the same events and opportunities for artists to be able to get out and exhibit their work, this program has provided a very unique opportunity, not only to get artists out into a space to create in, but once again, it's truly an added perk and benefit that the public, random, shoppers in this plaza could stumble in here, discover an artist, have a conversation.
It's been amazing because more than anything, I think that people want to support the economy.
Oh yeah.
With that, we've been shut down for a long time, and I know that people in my life, my collectors, they want to support the arts as one of the ways to do it. And they don't know how to do it. You know what I mean? I when I was on my quarantine, I was doing a lot of kind of FaceTime studio tours at my house, and we've been able to kind of broaden that spectrum to real life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important. Believe me, I was more than anybody a little bit nervous about going out in public, but at some point in time, like I said, people with the mask going on and keeping your hands clean and that sort of thing, I think that this is a perfect opportunity to put a jump start back into the economy.
100%.
And believe me, artists more than anything we need your help. You know what I mean? We need your support. The arts need support. We need your support before the pandemic and in the pandemic and after the pandemic, because artists. I'm also on the board of a foundation called No More Starving Artists Foundation, and one of our mission really is to get artists to be self-supporting,
mm-hmm.
to be able to have opportunities like this, to be able to figure out how to make the art their business,
mm-hmm.
so to speak. And this is one of an amazing opportunity for artists to get reduced rent for these these gorgeous studio spaces in these high-end areas. We're in the middle of Boca. Boca Raton obviously is a high-end community,
mm-hmm.
and where people do buy art.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's been a great aspect for me personally.
Amen. And I'm glad you mentioned No More Starving Artists Foundation. We'll definitely get to that and let the folks that aren't familiar with the work that you guys do, we'll let them know about that. But before that, how did Mr. Scott Jeffries get started in the arts as an artist?
I mean,
back when?
For me, way back when I was about, my grandmother was an artist, okay? And
right.
when I was about 12 or 13, she passed away. And she was living in New York City, the Bronx. And I remember we were at my grandmother's funeral, and we were in the basement of her house in the Bronx. And I remember my mom standing in her studio saying, "What am I going to do with all this stuff? Brushes and paints and old canvases and things that she hadn't used yet." And I said, "Mom, I'll take them." And I remember packing up some of the paintbrushes and the art supplies, putting them in my little suitcase as a preteen, and going back to our house in Pennsylvania and started painting from there. And over time, between high school and being an athlete in high school, going to law school eventually, I was always interested in the arts, and I wasn't really painting full time. But as time went on, in about early 2000s, I was living in Philly. I was painting a lot, and I ended up on this old show called Trading Spaces, where they came in and kind of we traded with our neighbors, and the focus of my episode was they actually changed the kind of our living space into like a little art gallery. It was gorgeous. It was amazing. And so from that point on, I kind of got more serious over time, and over the years, I ended up moving from Philadelphia to Florida in 2006 for a little change of life experience, so to speak, and slowly got into the South Florida art scene. And I think by 2016, I was named one of the top 10 artists in Palm Beach by the New Times. So it really has been a slow but holistic kind of progression. Met some amazing people along the way, you and Andrew and and some great mentors in Miami, Nora Blizovic, and with the Virtual Projects, and Trina and Anthony Burks, and I've been able to kind of follow the lead of people that came before me, and kind of like do what they did, and here I am.
And doing it your own way. You have a very unique style, something that you won't see duplicated. So thankfully we're doing this with videos so people can see. So why don't you, I guess, walk us through your style, your work, and then maybe some of the evolution of some of your work.
I mean, for me, I really have called myself for a long time. I was always a doodler. You know, and I call myself kind of a soul doodler. So if you see some of these paintings like this here, this kind of black line, colorful piece. These are things that I had in my mind and was doodling in elementary school and in high school and in college and law school, and now I have the opportunity and the tools and the space to kind of get these larger pieces. And actually, I was fortunate like last year to do a mural in Boca that's been painted over, by the way, but it was this kind of size, kind of free form, and I don't really plan out what I'm doing before I start a painting. I just kind of go, and it evolves as time as the painting goes on. But but I have developed sort of like a style of my aesthetic is kind of for this style too has been kind of evolving to bigger faces and heads, and kind of like I call myself sort of like the Black Picasso. My Twitter is Picasso Scott, the kind of the Black Picasso. So because I was kind of a fan of like how Picasso kind of melded faces together. So that kind of evolved. That was sort of one of my fans, and so these are an example of that. When I was living in Philadelphia, I started to paint a lot of flags for some reason. That was and that's where the evolution of some of my flag painting started in 91, 92. I was just like in law school, and there was a war going on, the first Iraq War, and I just remember kind of thinking like this it was a kind of a backwards nation kind of, and I was to paint these flags backwards. And it's evolved over time to just this kind of the beauty of the red, white, and blue flag. I'm obviously a proud American, so to speak, and and I kind of turn myself to Black Betsy Ross, and it's been interesting because over time, especially now with the Black Lives Matter movement and all these things, my thinking has, I'm not a person that goes out there and protests on the street, but I'm able to show things like my black flags, and just to do certain things that make that become important to me. And it's been a great experience. And I do these fish, and I have a lot of things that I like to focus on and improve on, and the great thing about having a studio now is that I can kind of look at some of these paintings that I've had for a while and kind of go back to them and focus on them and improve them and give them more color, more richness that I maybe wouldn't have done before because I had other things going on.
Sure.
And a studio space where I'm working.
Correct.
You know what I mean? There's no TV here. This is a workspace, and being able to have a focused workspace with other artists, to bounce things off. Like yesterday, I talked to one of the artists about, what do you think how do you think this flag? What do you think about more red, not red? Anything. It's just a great experience to be in a creative space with other people, other creatives, and that's what this is for me. Has been a bonus so far. It's been amazing.
Random strangers that are your contemporaries, that become your studio mates and your friends, and if it's sharing ideas and ideating ideas, or opportunities to collaborate, or even just let me borrow some supplies.
Yeah, it's great.
We've seen countless examples of great things coming out of the camaraderie of the artists in the space as part of this project. These are shared spaces, so there's in this location there's 8 artists.
Yeah.
So
it's funny, and it's like the old MTV Real World scenario. like the random strangers, right? That and are they gonna get along? And this is what it is. It's like random strangers, all different types of art, all different aesthetics, all different thought processes coming together, and for the common purpose of just of building a business, building your art, and it's great.
Amen. And we're so glad to have you and all of the artists, but you being obviously a friend of ours and a friend of Art for Lauderdale and our initiatives. We're glad to reward a local artist like yourself with the opportunity. And a lot of people see what they see when they come into the space, or they see on our social media, and they say, "Oh, that's your gallery." Well, we make it very, very clear. This is not a gallery, and this is not a gallery project. This is a affordable studio space initiative to provide and reward local artists with the opportunity to have a space where they can create in outside of their house, primary use being creating, with once again the added benefit of the foot traffic, the added benefit of the marketing support from Choose 954 and our other channels that we use to distribute the content and stuff like that. But we do have some requirements as part of the program. We're somewhat formulating it as an artist residency, where artists do have to be in the space creating. We ask at least 2 days a week between the hours of 12 and 5 p.m. Part of that is we had to guarantee the owners of the vacant space that we're going to have the space activated. It doesn't serve them any purpose if the space isn't live. And then B, it helps for showing perspectives. If you saw something on Instagram and said, "Hey, when can I see the artist and the artwork?" Well, you can go every day between the hours of 12 and 5 p.m. when the space is open.
5, or come, or say I need to be there at 8 o'clock at night. Yeah, I can meet you here.
And the artists have 24-hour access.
24-hour access, so it's been great.
So it's great in that regard. If you're an interested artist, or if you know an interested artist that would like to participate in the program, we have an application on our website. It's not binding. www.zeroemptyspaces.com. We'll follow up with you. We'll see where you live, which location is the closest, and we'll try to work with you, within what we have available, your budget and stuff like that. But we'll get back to that. So you mentioned Picasso. You mentioned your grandmother. Who are some of your other inspirations?
I'm a huge fan of Jean Dubuffet. Dubuffet is my favorite artist, without question. I'm a fan of these. They were called the there were these Danish artists called the Cobra artists.
Yeah.
Cobra artists, which I'm a fan of that too.
Oh yeah.
Which kind of similar style to my work. I like more than anything kind of self-taught, primitive sort of art, colorful. I'm a big fan of New Orleans jazz fest type things with those kind of colors, and just a lot of African American artists, and it's just the John Singer Sargent. I mean, it's a wide range,
sure.
And I think that for me, being not an educated, so to speak, artist and go to art school, that it really has been incumbent upon me to go to museums and look at different people and be inspired by either the masters, so to speak, but also like Art for Lauderdale artists or the local artists, be like that's an amazing piece of work, and I'm inspired by that. So it really it's a wide range of things that I've been inspired by, but more than anything, I think my art comes from the deep recesses of my mind,
sure.
And the cool thing about for me is I like my own art, which I think, and I'm a big fan of the kind of the concept that there's no mistakes. I'm an outside the line kind of guy. You know what I mean? I'm not. I think a lot of artists oftentimes are restrained by perfectionism, so to speak, and that's not me. Which I think has been a lot of reason for my success so far, is because I don't get caught up in this is not perfect, this is not right. I said to my friend, I was on a podcast the other day, it's like when the paint is dry, it's over. Let it go, move on. And it's great because sometimes I'll be in my studio space where I think that a collector's gonna come in and be like, oh, that's the painting that I love, and all of a sudden they're like, no, I want that one over there. So you have no idea like what someone else is gonna like. So I really can only paint for mostly myself, and then let the world make their decisions on what it is. But
Amen.
It's fun.
And it's been cool to watch your work evolve over the last 4 years that I've known you, and have work reflective of the times, reflective of your viewpoint as an artist. And we're really glad to see the evolution and provide the space for you to be able to do so.
I'm beyond grateful. It's great.
Likewise.
And like I said, it's been an amazing process to watch you guys grow and me grow along with you. It's like that's how it should be.
Yeah, you, Paula Gracie, I believe Patricia Beltran,
Sure.
And have been around since the beginning, since we started all this with our Fort Lauderdale 4 years ago, and we're glad to continue supporting you guys. What are some other ways that somebody could support you? You have a bunch of different sizes, and you have different, options, merchandise.
Sure.
What are some things, classes?
So what I mean, obviously my paintings everything is for sale, and over a few years ago I started to do kind of T-shirts of my paintings.
Okay.
And do some hand painted paintings as well. So this is like, for example, this is a T-shirt of a mural that I did. These screen prints are $25 T-shirts. I always say if you can't afford a painting, you can afford a T-shirt.
Amen.
I know a lot of us are on Zoom now, so I did a Zoom painting, and I put that on a T-shirt, which is $25. I also do a lot of hand painted T-shirts, which are coming up on July 4th. I have these flag T-shirts. The hand-painted T-shirts are $40, very inexpensive.
Well, this is also a Bella and Canva tee, which is very high quality, lasts a long time. People always comment to me that they like the fabric.
It's great. I also do that on the golden T-shirt, so depending a little bit heavier. It depends. So it's these, but the hand-painted ones are great. They're very popular. If you're running around Boca Raton, you have to see some of my heads running on my head tees.
Mm-hmm.
So good stuff. It's good stuff, and they're fun, and and my paintings range from $1,000, $4,000, $500, $300. I mean, it just depends on the budget that you're in. There's a Scotty J piece of art for you.
Amen.
Absolutely. And I love new collectors. I love young collectors. My Instagram is pretty popular. You can follow me on Instagram at Scott Art, which is pretty easy. Scott Art. That's it.
What about your website?
My website is scottyjart.com. SCOTTYJART. ScottyJart.com. You can find me through Zero Empty Spaces. We're out there. So it's Facebook, Scott Jeffries. But I think the most popular way to find me or see what I'm doing is Instagram. Okay. Because sometimes I post. I'll paint a painting, and I'll do a lot of live painting on Instagram and videotaping and doing what do you call it, fast
time lapse
photography. So a lot of time lapse of my painting. So that's been pretty interesting for me lately. I like doing that and seeing the process work. And so it's Instagram has really been the place where you can see all that kind of stuff.
And that's a cool thing I've noticed too. Every artist has their own style, obviously, but even within Instagram is something I've noticed, because now we have 20 plus artists working. How different artists have their own Instagram style with the time lapse, and you actually I commend you, because you put a lot of effort into. You're actually making like short movies, short films, where you're time lapsing part of it, and then you're showing yourself working, and you're showing the finished product, and then if you know it or not, I've noticed that process has inspired other fellow contemporary artists, and now they're
absolutely
stepping out of the, now they're doing new things on Instagram.
And it's funny because I see a lot of my peers also like starting to do timeless photography. I think it's great. because it's working for me.
Sure.
And they see it, and it's like, I think, thank God that people are paying attention to what I'm doing. 'Cause I mean, I didn't make that up. You know what I mean? But there's a guy that I follow on Instagram in Boston who was doing time lapse photography, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try that. And all day next. So it's like, thank God that people aren't just too shy about sharing ideas, and that's what this is about. That's what my foundation is about. All these things are.
Yeah, please tell. So we mentioned briefly about No More Starving Artists Foundation, but why don't you tell us a little bit about some of your programs, what you guys do, what you guys have done, and then
even this year it's been we did a micro grant for artists, fabric artists to make masks. We put that out there. We're doing we were very involved in the Continuum show, underwriting the Continuum art show, and
for those that aren't familiar with Continuum
is really a countywide art show in West Palm Beach. That was really kind of the birth during the early Art Palm Beach days, and it was kind of like the kind of the radical show of the bigger art fairs, Art Palm Beach, Art Basel, and a lot of the local artists weren't able to get into these bigger shows because they're expensive, whatever. Mm-hmm. So Trina, Trina and Anthony and Craig McGinnis started this art show to kind of focus on more local artists, and that kind of grew into the ultimately a foundation being it's just this again, people doing things that aren't just for themselves, which is an amazing
altruistic
things, and we've been able to kind of grow that way. We're trying to do workshops for artists, teach them about getting LLCs, getting businesses started, bank accounts. We have a fund for an emergency fund for someone that gets sick. Where we're talking about doing other things, because of the times. The possibilities are endless, and we meet a lot. We talked with you guys yesterday about getting involved with Zero Empty Spaces, and just getting the word out there, because like again, this project that you're doing is an ideal situation for our foundation to be connected with, because artists don't know that there's a possibility of them to have a space, for $2 a square foot
in a
retail setting, which can change their whole game. You know what I mean? Because it's just the mere fact of being out there in public, people to see it, and you guys are insane with your social media and marketing and that sort of thing. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Amen. I'm glad to support No More Starving Artists Foundation. I've attended Continuum over the last couple of years. It is at the same time as our Fort Lauderdale, so I haven't had opportunity to attend it every year, but I believe it's a 10-day art fair.
It's 10 days, 2 weeks, over 2 weeks, and during that process, we have there's events, young masters where they have high school kids come in and they do art shows. We have live painting, fashion shows, musicians, body painting, all these things that are just involved in kind of our own little local little art mecca.
And some people might remember it was previously held in the old Restoration Hardware space on Clematis.
Yeah, every year is different.
Yeah,
every year is different. So Restoration Hardware, it's been in old Mac Factory. This year it was in Paul Fisher Gallery. So every year, one of our things is that we try to, we're looking for a new space to have it, just to make it more interesting and more fluid and more new. So
awesome.
We're
glad to support you guys. It's No More Starving Artists Foundation, NMSA PBC on Instagram.
In Instagram, yes. And it's NMSA, whatever that is, .org is the website.
So please, if you're interested in getting involved, they do a lot of great work in Palm Beach County.
We're always taking donations. Yeah, that sort of thing. So we we're a 501c3.
And let's just put it out there. If you like Scott and his work and don't want Scott to have to worry about his $180 a month studio payment for the next 6 months, we're going to work on making, through Zero Empty Spaces and potentially through No More Starving Artists Foundation, sponsorship donation opportunities available where you as a business or an individual, if you do contribute to the arts and support the arts philanthropically, altruistically, financially, or otherwise, you could sponsor an artist so they don't have to worry about coming up with that $180 a month, studio payment, so that they can just be creative. We have spoke with some art supply companies that are interested in sponsoring art supplies to put them in the artist's hands and in the artist studios.
That's great. That's
so
amazing.
then the artist could just go
and
be
paint,
creative.
And paint. It's such a I love the paint, but it's not. It costs money to be here.
Oh yeah.
but why I'm here and why I'm able to do this sort of things is because I put myself out there, and paintings are for sale, and that's what a life of a professional artist is all about.
Amen. And it's part of the creative economy.
Yeah.
When you support a local artist like Scott is then able to go to the art supply store to buy more canvas and paint and materials. And the fact that we like to throw out there, from an economic impact perspective, the Americans for the Arts always likes to say, I believe it's every $1 spent into the creative economy is able to stretch $9 in terms of economic impact, because artists are very creative with the way that they're able to maneuver their funds. And you never know, you buy this Scott Jeffries original for $1,000 now in 2020, and in 5 years it's
This one's $5,000.
Okay. So you never know. You never know.
You never know.
We love to birth young collectors.
Yeah, sure.
Scott builds phenomenal relationships with his clients, his friends. He also teaches classes.
I teach classes. I teach. I have groups that I go to treatment centers for struggling addicts. I have a whole thing.
Amazing.
It's fun stuff. I'm a man in recovery.
Amazing.
Not ashamed to say that. It's been a good ride, but that's a whole other story that we can talk about one day. But it's this is the life that we live, and we get one chance at life, and I'm attacking it for 100%.
Sure. No, you're doing a great job. You're an inspiration. We're super grateful to have you. So Scott is in our 7th location, which is Boca Center, which is 5250 Town Center Circle. It's next to Joseph's Market. It's in the same plaza as Rocco's Tacos and Tap 42 and Brio. It's actually going to be our next space where we'll eventually have a grand opening reception. All of our locations, traditionally, we have grand opening receptions with ribbon cuttings with the mayor and the city commissioners and the artists and the public. Obviously, with COVID, we have to postpone that a little bit, but we will have it. And if you are listening, I was just reminded, there's actually a family fun day event that's going to take place in this plaza with support from the landlord management Crocker Partners, the largest office landlord in the state of Florida, who is responsible for this building and this space that we're in. A lot of love to Gianna and the whole Crocker Partners team, Candace and everybody that helped make this happen. So you can bring the kids out this Saturday. I believe it's like 11 to 4. It'll be a family fun day in the parking lot. For more information, you can log on to www.zeroemptyspaces.com. That's zero, emptyspaces.com. For questions, you can email info@zeroemptyspaces.com. Find us on social medias, Facebook and Instagram. I'm Evan Snow, @EvanSnow13 on Instagram. Feel free to let us know any thoughts. If you're interested, we have an application on the website. And we look forward to seeing you in one of our beautiful Zero Empty Spaces locations throughout South Florida and beyond. Cheers.